Hello and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Karim Zimik. Here are the headlines. India kickstarts second phase of its immunization program, 270 million more to be vaccinated by August. Baloch resume anti-Pak demonstrations, reiterate demand of complete independence from Pakistan. And Hindu devotees marks the auspicious day of Maghi Purnima in India. Let's begin the show. India has kicked off the second phase of its massive immunization program aimed at inoculating 300 million Indians by July-August this year. The second phase is also set to boost the pace that the Indian vaccination process requires in order to reach its 1.3 billion people. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and several members of his cabinet opted for the homegrown Covaxin, which has demonstrated 81% efficacy in preventing the disease in the third round of its clinical trials.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi became the first person to receive the vaccine jab as India widened its immunization program. People above 60 and those above 45 with medical history will be vaccinated in the second phase. Modi, whose diplomatic endeavors during the pandemic have won him global applause, urged others too to get themselves vaccinated. India, which has authorized two vaccines, AstraZeneca's Covishield and indigenously developed Covaxin, has already carried out nearly 15 million inoculations, with its first phase covering a larger portion of frontline and healthcare workers. India aims to vaccinate 300 million of its citizens by July-August this year, and the second phase of vaccination drive is expected to cover nearly 270 million people. And after initial doubts and hesitation, a large number of them are turning up at the centres. So much so that the government has increased the number of centres and is mulling to do even more.
It's painless, लोगों को डरना नहीं चाहिए और ये वैक्सीनेशन ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों को अपने आप को लगवाने चाहिए ताकि वो अपने आप को भी सेफ रखें और लोगों की भी सेफ्टी का ध्यान रखें.
While India's 1.3+ billion population has been dubbed as major challenge to its vaccination program, the government has reassured its citizens that there was no shortage of vaccines in the country. It has successfully managed to flatten the curve in almost all states, barring two, where the situation has been slightly worrying but under control. Meanwhile, India's homegrown COVID-19 vaccine has shown an interim vaccine efficacy of 81% in late-stage clinical trials. The interim analysis was based on 43 recorded cases of COVID-19 in the trial of 25,800 participants conducted in partnership with the Indian government's medical research body.
We just got to know the data, that our efficacy data clearly indicating the trend indicating around 80.6.
India had approved the vaccine branded Covaxin in January on the basis of promising immunogenicity and safety results demonstrated by the vaccine. India has maintained that it is producing vaccines not only for Indians, but its endeavour has been to strengthen the global fight against the pandemic. Vaccines produced in India are now being used by around 24 countries.
पहिलो चरणमा हामीले उपहार पायौं, दोस्रोमा हामी $4 मा 20 लाख डोज खरिद गर्यौं, जसको 10 लाख आइसकेको छ, 10 लाख अब तुरुन्तै आउने वाला छ. त्यसपछि हामी 50 लाख डोजको खरिद प्रक्रिया अगाडि बढाउन चाहिँ नेगोसिएसनमा चरणमा छ विभाग कम्पनीसँग. यही क्रममा चाहिँ अब त्यो पूरा भइसकेपछि कोभ्याक्सको पनि आइसकेपछि हामी सहज ढंगले अगाडि बढाउन सक्छौं.
However, the growing Indian demand and its expanding influence hasn't been taken well by all. Cyber intelligence firm Cypherma has reported that a state-backed Chinese hacking group targeted the IT systems of two Indian vaccine makers whose coronavirus vaccine shots are being used in the country's immunization campaign. Although being denied by Beijing, the vaccine war is already appearing to be real, where some are constantly working for the benefit of the humanity. while others have clearly prioritized commercial, strategic, and competitive diplomatic interests over the rest. I appeal to all those who are eligible to take the vaccine. 70-year-old Modi said on Twitter, posting a picture of him getting the shot at a government hospital in New Delhi. Together, let us make India COVID-19 free.
Moving on, as COVID restrictions ease, Balochs have resumed their anti-park freedom struggle on streets. First week of March, when Baloch usually celebrate their ethnicity and culture, a number of demonstrations were held across European cities. Baloch called out violent campaigns by Pakistan Army and its secret agency ISI, a rising number in forced disappearances and continued plunder of their resources. They urged the international community to intervene in the crisis that is gradually heading towards a state-sponsored catastrophe.
Freedom for no to justice for justice.
As COVID restrictions ease around the world, the Balochs, with their long-standing demand of complete independence from the clutches of Islamabad, have once again taken to streets. They staged a number of demonstrations in European cities of Berlin, Frankfurt and Amsterdam this week. While calling Pakistan's army murderous and occupier, the Balochs highlighted an upped offensive being carried out against them in Balochistan. They also urged the international community to take cognizance of the rising rate of enforced disappearances in the region.
The world must know that there is a continuous genocide of the Baloch nation which is carried out by Pakistan. Since the annexation of Balochistan at the barrel of gun by Pakistani army. And one of the worst human rights violations which is being happened in Balochistan, that is the enforcement disappearances of the Baloch people.
The Balochs, who have lately upped the ante in their demands of freedom, accuse Pakistan establishment of unleashing a repressive campaign to muzzle the liberal voices in the region. The crackdown involves arresting activists on trumped-up charges and subjecting them to inhuman torture in detention centers. There have been over 50,000 cases of disappearances in Balochistan so far. The barbarity has only gained strength with time as the establishment-backed goons attack innocents with impunity. Even those who have managed to flee Pakistan have not been spared. Balochs accuse Pakistani agencies of killing Baloch dissenters overseas. Karima Baloch and Sajid Hussain were found dead under similar suspicious circumstances last year. Balochs say ISI killed them. Leaders say it is high time that all Balochs unite and present a stronger fight for their rights.
हमारे लिए शर्म का मकाम है कि एक जगह पे हमारे भाई मर रहे हैं, कट रहे हैं, शहीद हो रहे हैं, कुर्बान हो रहे हैं, मुजाहिमत कर रहे हैं, लड़ रहे हैं और दूसरी तरफ से हम तमाशा देखते रहें। और फिर ये मुल्का खेज बात होगी अगर हम खुद खामोश रहें और दुनिया से तवक्को करें कि दुनिया हमारे लिए आवाज उठाएगी। दुनिया हमारे लिए कभी आवाज नहीं उठाएगी जब तक हम अपने लिए खुद आवाज नहीं उठाते।
Despite being endowed with oil, coal gas, electricity and gold, the Baloch people still live in dire conditions with no electricity or running water. Furthermore, following the entry of the Chinese in the province, the Baloch have been exploited even more. Balochistan was under the British colonial rule and it was annexed by Islamabad on August 27, 1948. And since then, all its demands have been responded through military operations. The locals are neither made part of the committees that take decision of exploiting the resources, nor they are shared any dividends of the produce. And when they demand their rights or resist the forceful changes being brought about in their region, Pakistan uses brute high-handedness to suppress them.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch. Industrialization, e-commerce and expansion are helping Chinese snack manufacturers get local delicacies to hungry consumers in cities and towns across the country. Naomi Baitang, which literally means glutinous rice white sugar, is white candy made from sticky rice and malt. It is one of the specialty snacks from East China, Shenzhou city. Because the candy is sold online through e-commerce platforms, sales have increased and people all over the country can access a piece of their hometown without traveling. The candy is not only product benefiting from e-commerce and industrialization. Another snack from the region, xiaolongbao or soup dumplings, are being mass-produced at this factory. The snack, usually served piping hot in a small bamboo steamer at a restaurant, can now be purchased frozen and prepared at home. Other Chinese snacks like crispy sesame biscuits from central China's Changsha city are also being mass-produced. One local snack producer even finds that demand is outstripping supply. According to a 2020 report released by Muaton, a Chinese consumer website similar to Yelp, China has about 5 million snack bars selling traditional food that acts as a calling card of the region from which it originates. A Japanese dance company is using an innovative style of performance to promote social distancing, where the audience sits in separated cubicles and watches an avant-garde production through mail slots and peepholes. Moonlight Mobile Theatre, based in the central Japanese city of Nagoya, uses a circular-shaped stage, fanning cubicles surrounding the performance area. The mail slots and peepholes engage the audience's curiosity and imagination, forcing them to focus on what is happening on stage, said Nobuyoshi Asai, artistic director and choreographer of the theatre. Asai's company came up with the concept last year after it had to cancel most shows due to coronavirus pandemic. The company held a dozen sold-out performances beginning in December and wrapping up last month, and Asai said the company plans to use the idea again for future productions. He said the current setup requires twice as many staff to distinct the venue and can only host a maximum of 30 audience members per performance, a fraction of the traditional audience size. Although the company is partially funded by subsidies from the government and other organizations, Asai admitted its current business is not sustainable at the moment. China's high-tech manufacturing industry developed rapidly during the country's 13th five-year plan 2016 to 2020 period, greatly improving China's industrial system and structure. Construction of the Bahetan Dam, the second largest in China after the Three Gorges Dam project, started on the upper Yangtze River during the 13th five-year plan. The dam's first turbines recently entered their final assembly stage and have been undergoing trials. The turbines were developed domestically, each with a generating capacity of 1,000 megawatts, marking a breakthrough in global hydropower development. The added value of high-tech manufacturing in 2020 accounted for 15.1% of the total industrial added value, above designated size, up 3.3% points from 2015, while the added value of equipment manufacturing accounted for 33.7%, up 1.9 percentage points. China established 17 national manufacturing innovation centers and over 100 provincial ones, setting up an industrial network for key fields including power batteries, additive manufacturing, optoelectronics, integrated circuits, and high-performance medical facilities. Moving on. It's been over 6 months since the British Kashmiri journalist and right activist Tanveer Ahmed has been languishing in jail. While the video evidence available in the public domain doesn't find him guilty of anything wrong, the administration in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir has been treating him like a terrorist. A shoddy investigation, compromised judiciary and Islamabad's unrelenting efforts to keep him behind bars have only added to obstacles in his release. people have carried out protests, but not enough to trigger an international response. The media has been silent, and now nobody knows what his future would be like.
Tanveer Ahmed is not appearing to be coming out of jail anytime soon. Despite his non-culpability in the crime he has been framed for, the British Kashmiri journalist Tanveer Ahmed's future is in jeopardy. While any international legal assistance cannot reach him, the Islamabad-installed judiciary has been a sellout, or to say it more precisely, a stooge who has only furthered and facilitated the government's repressive ambitions. The government of Pakistan has ensured over the years that the mechanics of so-called independent POK judiciary are under its control and judges compliant.
अदालतों में पाकिस्तानी सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज के लोग बैठे होते हैं और उनकी मौजूदगी में जज साहब तो कुछ और सोच भी नहीं सकते। अगर सोचें भी तो वो बहुत बड़ा जुर्म करेंगे। लिहाजा वहाँ की जो अदालतें हैं, ये तनवीर अहमद के केस के हवाले से, बाकी भी और बहुत कुछ है, खास करके तनवीर अहमद के केस के हवाले से तो किसी किस्म का कुछ शक और शुबा नहीं रहना चाहिए।
The Tanveer Ahmed case has met the fate of dozens of other activists who dared to raise their voice against the establishment and ended up being sentenced to 70 years to 90 years of rigorous terms in jail. Kashmiri activists who fled the state-backed attacks following their demands for independence are mulling large-scale movement to gain freedom. They say they have the first rights over the resources and time has come to claim them.
जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों को ये सोचने का मकाम है कि वो अपनी सोचों में तब्दीली लाएं ताकि रियासत भी आज़ाद हो और पाकिस्तान के अपने मामलात हैं वो जारी रखें। इस तरीके से काम किए जाएं कि पाकिस्तान से हमारी जल्द से जल्द जान छूटे ताकि हम अपनी रियासत को एक आज़ाद खुद मुख्तार रियासत बना सकें और रियासत के अंदर रहने वालों को जो वक़ार है वो मिल सके। पाकिस्तान ने तो अपने लोगों को वक़ार नहीं दिया, हमें कहाँ देंगे। लिहाजा हमारी बेहतरी इसी में है कि हमें पाकिस्तान के कब्जे के खिलाफ मुत्तहिद होकर जदोजहद करनी पड़ेगी ताकि हम अपने मसाइल के साथ साथ लोगों की जो इज्जत वक़ार है उसको भी बहाल कर सकें।
Pakistan's insecurity against Kashmiri activists, both political and social, has manifested in its extrajudicial operations over the years. It has preemptively targeted and suppressed the voices demanding rights and freedoms in its illegally occupied territories of POK and Gilgit-Baltistan. And Tanveer Ahmed's case is no exception, but a grim reminder of brutalities being meted out on Kashmiris at the pretext of law and order. For now, Tanveer Ahmed is in tight Pakistani clutches, with hopes of freedom diminishing with every rising sun.
Rivers in India have great religious significance among the people. And if we talk about the holy river Ganga, it is considered as a goddess in the Hindu religion. Hindus across India believe that the mere sprinkling of Ganga water cleanses all sins and that taking a dip in the sacred river bestows heavenly blessings. Today, we will take you to India's northern holy cities where devotees throng the ghats of the Ganga to mark the festival of Maghi Purnima. Have a look.
Scores of Hindu devotees flock to ghats of river Ganga in India's temple towns of Varanasi and Prayagraj to mark the festival of Maghi Purnima amid the coronavirus pandemic. Hindus believe that the water of river Ganga has the properties to cure several diseases, and it is also used during religious ceremonies for purification. Maghi Purnima is the full moon night that falls in the Magh month of the Hindu calendar and is a revered occasion for the devotees. On this occasion, devotees offer prayers, perform rituals, and take a holy dip in the revered rivers to absolve their misdeeds and seek blessings from the gods.
एक महीने के पूरे कल्पवास के बाद यह माघ का आखिरी स्नान है और इसके पश्चात यह एक आखिरी स्नान और होगा महाशिवरात्रि का।
Similar scenes were witnessed in India's Haridwar town, which is known as the gateway to heaven, where devotees took a holy dip in River Ganga and offered special prayers for their well-being and prosperity. Some devotees also observe a fast, take bath before the sunrise, and they have a meal only after sighting of the moon.
कुंभ मेले का स्नान करने के लिए आए। आज पूर्णमासी का स्नान था। आज यहाँ पे स्नान करने के लिए आए और गंगा मैया की कृपा से जो कोविड खत्म हो रहा है उसकी कामना करते हैं कि सारा संसार ठीक ठाक हो जाए।
Every year, the festival is celebrated with immense joy and devotion. However, this year, due to the pandemic, the number of people remained considerably low at the ghats.
कोरोना का पहले से तो बहुत प्रभाव कम हुआ है, लेकिन लोगों हम सभी को सोचना चाहिए कि जैसे गवर्नमेंट इंस्ट्रक्शन दे रही है उस पर हम उसका पालन करें।
According to Hindu mythology, it is believed that on this day, Vishnu, the Hindu god of preservation, is present in the Ganga, and by bathing in the river, the devotees can get rid of all their troubles. This is what makes Ganga an indispensable element in all prayers and religious ceremonies. It is through these festivals that citizens of India stay in touch with their rituals and traditions and keep themselves grounded to their roots.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Karim Zamik signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.